Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host tonight, or today, this morning, this afternoon, whatever it is. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. It is time for the Rex and the Robbie Show, and today we're going to be talking about price hikes in Disney streaming services, as well as the dominance of the box office of July 2023. And you can't have the Rex and the Robbie Show without my main man, Rex. What is up, my dude?
What's up, bro? I want to say that your hair looks exceptionally good this afternoon.
Thank you. We're crossing our fingers. Nominees are announced, I think, on the 25th for the CBC Awards, and Best Hair is a category. And fingers are still crossed that we got enough nominations to actually get nominated for the actual award ceremony, which then you'll have to go in and vote for me. So we're hoping for that. We're hoping.
We've been talking about this for years.
My whole life has been building up to this, Rex. What do you expect? How's your week been, man? Y'all have we had some up and down weather, bad weather this week. What about y'all?
We've had some bad weather here as well. We've had some torrential rainstorms. I mean, just sheeting rain, and then goes away. So it's been really hot and humid. It's supposed to get better here, but you know what are you gonna do? But you guys have been getting some crazy weather as well. I saw.
Yeah, and it'll go from like super sunny and sweltering to like cool, and then super stormy out of nowhere, trees falling down, all this kind of stuff. It happened in the middle of the night the other night. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I was hot. I was like, why am I so hot? And I was like, why is it so dark? Because there's always this like ethereal blue glow in my hallway because of my lights. Right. And I was like, why is it so dark? Why am I so hot? Oh, my fan's off. The power's out, right? So the power was out. Took me about an hour to get back to sleep. So I went back to sleep around 5. Got woken up at 6 when my power came back on. And I have smart lights in my apartment. So all my lights just start flashing, trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. So every light in the house just comes on and starts flashing at me. I'm like, come on, man. Come on.
Man, you are too connected to your house. In my house, it's very simple. Okay. If my oven clock is blinking, power went out. That's about it.
Well, that happened to me too.
Connected to nothing. No smart house. No Ring camera. I got better than a Ring camera. I got retired old ladies who live in my cul-de-sac. They're way better than a Ring camera. Yeah. Different UPS guy. They're texting me, reporting it. Hey, there's a different guy dropping a box at your door today. I'm like, all right, thanks.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the topics because I think it's interesting how these two topics came out this week. And I was like, it's an interesting kind of dynamic between the two. What were you saying?
I said they kind of overlap.
Yeah, they do a little bit, right? So I thought that it would be a good conversation tonight. So that was a profound paranormal event. Yeah, it would be really crazy if I didn't have like smart lights in my house and that was happening, right? Like it was straight out of Poltergeist, dude. Every light. I'm just like, I come on. And I'm like, shut off the lights. Cannot connect to Wi-Fi. Shut off the lights. Oh, looks like Rex can't connect to Wi-Fi either. Rex, you're frozen. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Robbie and Robbie Show.
Am I back?
You're kind of back. Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Kind of back. Yeah. So you went to a haunted house and you didn't need to.
I guess so. All right. So the first topic I want to address today is the fact that July of 2023 is the second highest domestic box office in history. In the history of people going to the movie theaters. And July is always one of the biggest months because of the biggest years. And we've obviously had two really important movies, one in particular that really helped push it up. But with $1.37 billion, this is the second highest July ever. And the first is 2011, which I think had one of the last Harry Potter films. Rex, we've been talking about the death of cinema or the rebirth of cinema or what cinema's like, what the movie theater is like. Are people going? We've been talking about this the entire time we've been doing this show, right? What do you think about this news? What do you think the main impact is? How does it result in anything going forward?
All right. Well, I like to see the inflation adjusted numbers, okay? Because they use these numbers in whichever way is advantageous to them when they report it, right? So adjust for inflation and where does it compare? I think that obviously we saw a bump, in this month because of Barbie, because of Oppenheimer. even Mission Impossible to a certain extent, right? So, I can understand why we see that bump. I think the message is something we've talked about on previous shows, is that if you give the audience what they want, they will still come out to the theaters. But the days of the theaters being as critical a component, I think, are gone. All right. So what are they talking about at the writer's strike, at the actor's strike? They're talking about streaming revenue, right? So streaming revenue, starting with Black Widow, we saw that this has become a real issue. So if an actor feels like they're getting cheated by not having the residuals coming from streaming in their contract, that means it represents a significant portion, which goes back to what we talked about before, that the measure of a success of a film can no longer be what it has been in the past. Opening weekend box office. It doesn't really reflect anything anymore. Not really. And we keep using that as the litmus test, okay? I think the best example of that is Elemental. So now I hear Elemental has broken previous box office records, has slowly churned its way through, okay? So that it's now not a biggest disaster that Disney's ever put out, yada, yada, yada. So slowly it's churned its way through. No, not everybody went to see it the initial weekend. They waited, they spread it out, however they did it. But obviously it's more than recovered now, given enough time. So clearly how we measure a success or failure in terms of revenue has got to change.
Well, one of the things that's going on with Elemental is that it fared very poorly in the domestic box office, but internationally, it's doing very well. And it is the first animated film since 2017, I think, to cross $400 million or something like that. Right. But I guess surely Spider-Verse has beaten that by now. I don't know what Spider-Verse is at right now, but I know that's another thing too, is international versus now with the biggest July box office on record. We're talking about domestic, right? And it can be broken down. So like, let's see, Sound of Freedom had 151 million. Indiana Jones had 143 million. Mission Impossible had 140 million. Insidious had 78 million. Elemental 64 million. Across the Spider-Verse 47 million. Haunted Mansion 26 million. No Hard Feelings 26 million. And then of course we've got the dominance of Barbie and Oppenheimer, which have a lot to do with this as well. But also just like you were saying, strong movies. And aside from Spider-Verse still being in theaters, right? Like there's not a tentpole giant Marvel movie out to really drive this. It's something like it's Warner Brothers. And then you look back in 2011, it was Warner Brothers then with Harry Potter. So we're hitting like, we're giving, I like what you said, like you give people what they want and then they'll go see it. So this also leads into the stuff we've been discussing about maybe people are getting tired of not just superhero stuff, but franchisee stuff, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been talking about this for months, so it's come to the point where, the audience is getting tired of the superhero stuff. And, as we said, it's not, I don't want to say it's the genre, it's the way they're doing it. It's every superhero movie is a repeat of the last movie. The only thing different is we're going to include the multiverse. So we're going to leave like little teasers in this movie for the next movie. But when you look at it, the basics.
Oh, you're cutting out, Rex. You're cutting out again.
Same. I'm telling you, I did warn you. We had a complete internet outage before the show, so it's worse today than it's ever been. But I don't even know where did I leave off? Am I back?
Yeah, it seems like you're back now.
All right, so I think that it's not just the genre of superhero films; it's how they've been doing it. They've been getting worse and worse. And now you don't really need trailers because you've got your streaming series that's acting as a trailer, one big long trailer. And they've been going back to that same well. And the audience reacted by not going to see the movies or waiting until they stream. So now you give them something like Barbie, you give them something like Oppenheimer, and you've given the audience exactly what they've been starving for. Something different, something original. Okay. Even though the argument that Barbie is based on a toy, It's not something that's ever been done before. The toy's been around a long time. Doing it this way in a live action kind of film has never been done before. That's a unique idea. Oppenheimer, obviously a biopic about, one of the most important, periods in 20th century history. So the audience is saying, dude, we don't want to see you return the same stars in the same type of movies as a superhero, and then he's going to guess somebody else's superhero. I think the biggest transgression or the most naked attempt to use that formula was The Flash. Okay, we're worried it's not going to do well, so let's give him Michael Keaton. What? Oh, we're afraid it's really not going to do well. Let's give him more Michael Keaton. Okay, you come away from it. Those of us from that era, we want to see Michael Keaton, right? But now we also realize, hey, it was great to see Michael Keaton, but most people did not enjoy the film. So you didn't try to really make a good film. You just figured, let's throw in a little bit more nostalgia. Okay, let's put George Clooney in there. Okay, let's use that. But what about the storyline? Did you make an engaging story? Not really. You tried to take nostalgia and try to insert it into your movie to make it a success, to put butts in the seats. That's not going to work anymore. I think the audience has grown, has matured to a point where you can't do that anymore. That the key still holds. Put a good story out there, a good movie, engage your audience, and it will do well.
Yeah.
Okay. You can put all the CGI you want. If it's still a bad story, it's a bad story. Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, no doubt. Extensive CGI. The movie was not good.
More like Thor: Love and Blunder.
Yeah, right. Okay. The way they presented Russell Crowe and Zeus, not good. Okay. His bolt of lightning was a joke. Okay. It looked like something some kid would pick up for Halloween at Party City. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So you got what you put in. And people walked away thinking, not good. Didn't like it.
Sleepy Reader 666 has a really good comment here. Hollywood probably always goes in cycles of originality and cascades of imitation. Just think of all the movies that came out after Star Wars. And that is definitely true. And that's why when the MCU took off, everybody's trying to build their franchises. We're trying to get back to this. We're trying to do this. The nostalgia multiverse bug hypes in. Everybody tries to get in on it. And eventually we wear thin. Now, Rex, are you now, because one of the things you've said on this show and other shows is that people don't want to go to the theater because they can just watch it at home. They got great sound systems. They got great TV screens. They got their own food. They can pause it, go to the bathroom, all this kind of stuff. You say the theater experience was declining in importance.
Yeah.
But are you saying that, like, if the movies are exciting enough, engaging enough, compelling enough, that does bring people back into the theater?
No, unfortunately,
okay.
No. I think that the reality of it is that with the onset of streaming and the convenience of it, a certain segment of that population is lost, and it's forever lost. Okay, so as a business model for movie theaters, you have to rethink your game plan. You've got it. It's got to be more than just watching the movie. So, and love Amy to death. Can't wait for her to get back from vacation, but she's unique. Okay. There's a segment of us that used to go to movie theaters because it was the only way we going to get to see this film without waiting a year. Okay. So we didn't go because we wanted the movie theater experience. We went because we wanted to watch the movie. But now they've made it possible where I don't have to do that. So now I can just wait. I don't have to go to the movie theater. I can still share it and watch the story. Now, it still boils down to the same thing. It's got to be a good movie, good story. Otherwise, we're not watching it, whether it be at home or at the movie theater. But no, I don't believe that this month is a sign of a turnaround for the movie experience. Okay, there was a time that movie theaters could get away with, sticky floors, popcorn. You're walking, your shoes are sticking to the ground because of all the spilled soda, and you go and watch it. Why? Because what choice did you have? If you want to watch this movie, this is where you're going to watch it. Good luck. So then eventually that shifted, right? Eventually movie theaters got smart and said, well, let's do this and let's make it into this. and give them a reason to come watch it with us. And we'll charge them a little bit more than watching it at the place with popcorn all over the floor and candy wrappers and sticky soda floors. And then eventually all of those places disappeared. They went bye-bye. All right. So now you've got big wide seats, kind of a more comfortable experience when you watch the films. But now every theater is like that, right? Every theater's got a big wide Barco lounger type of chairs. You can reserve your seats and all that. So there's nothing special about that. That's the standard. So now I'm saying that movie theaters have to go one step further. Now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do to differentiate yourself? Make it worth my time to go to the movie theater? Because there's always going to be a segment of the population like Amy, even like yourself, like John. They want to go to the movie theaters. It's their way of getting away from it all, if you will. Okay. And that's great. And I'm not saying anything against that. But back in the day, you had a portion of the population like that. And then you had a portion of the population more like me. Now you've lost those like me. So what more is there? So I'll give you an example. So last Sunday, I got my free tickets, which ended up costing $200. Okay. By the time I pay for parking, concessions, beer, whatever. Right. And took my daughter to watch the Phil's game. Great seats, Hall of Fame club, so it's cordoned off. We got our own concessions. We're still pretty high up. I'm watching the game, having a great time. Would I be able to watch the game better at home? You damn tootin'. Okay. I would be able to watch, I'm watching guys are this big, right? But it was an experience. I went, we had our sausage and peppers. I had my couple of beers. Walked around a little bit. I told my daughter, wear your sneakers because we're going to walk around, sometime after the third or fourth inning, we're going to walk around, the park and just see stuff and, buy stuff, whatever. It's an experience. And it's something that I remember doing with my daughter when she was very little. And it's different than watching a game on TV. So my belief is that the movie theaters have to do something similar. You have to give me something more. If it's just about watching a game, I'm watching it at home because I can see it better. The angles change. Okay. They follow the ball. Okay. But
you're not having to sit out there in like 96-degree heat.
Well, my buddy whose season tickets that I used, him and his wife thought it out. This is the first time I used tickets during a day game. That whole part is in the shade the entire time. I'm like, well done, because I only use tickets for night games, so I never knew. I'm like, wow, this is cool, man. We're not sweltering, right? And you can always walk in. There's air conditioning, in different places. T-shirts, $40. I mean, but it's the whole experience, walking around and engaging, the other fans. So it gives me something different. So I will attempt to go to a couple of ball games a season. Okay. Because I love it. I even love minor league games. Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have recently, actually.
Yeah. They just played in Trenton right up here. A friend of mine, they bought tickets for the whole family. They were $25 each. They bought them back in November of last year. If you tried to get tickets like right before the game, they were selling for $250 a piece. Ridiculous. So apparently they're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. So yeah. I'd love to go see that. I ain't paying $2.50 per ticket, but if they ever come around, it's $25 a ticket. I'll definitely take my daughter and go. Again, it's an experience. You're giving me something more. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know what theaters have to do. I don't know what they got to do. I'm not in that business. But you do need to give. If you're going to drag back the audience that doesn't really care if they watch the movie at home, if it's not IMAX or something like that, like Oppenheimer. Is there really a point to see Oppenheimer on a big screen for me?
Yes,
probably not.
Well, in IMAX, I tell you, it's that IMAX experience I had with Oppenheimer will never be replicated. And in fact, they're extending its IMAX run because of the popularity of it. Like it is phenomenal in IMAX. So I'm just going to say that.
So let me say this. So I think IMAX is one way that you can draw an audience in because you're giving them something different. But essentially, the goal has got to be, you got to give me something that makes it worth my time to drag my butt off the couch.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's okay that there are people that don't agree. And you know, Amy and I, we banter about it. It's all in fun, in good fun, but you got her. She's going no matter what. So you're not going to lose her. So your problem as a movie theater is me and people like me. You have to get us back into the theaters, and you got to give us something because we're not going unless
Yeah,
you
and
give us something.
another thing that dropped within the last week or so is the fact that the biggest theater chain in the country, AMC, where I have my
Mhm.
membership A-list, right? They're in trouble of having to go bankrupt, right?
Yep.
And so there's a lot of things like it's nice to be like, wow, the box office domestically was huge in July, the second hugest in the history of it. But like you said, I don't think it's the sign of a turnaround. I don't think that like the rest of the year is going to really like stand up or whatever. But there's some great films that are coming out. The new Martin Scorsese film, I'm really excited to see. But you know me, I'm a cinephile. I like going to the theater. I like seeing these things early, discussing it here on YouTube and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And I love the theater experience, but most of that is because I worked at a movie theater when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. So it's nostalgic to me as well.
Right.
And I actually don't like going to the theaters where it's beer and food and big lounge chairs and stuff. I like going to my theater that's more like an old school theater, right?
Right.
So I like that. But
That's it. Maybe that's another angle. But I think that what we're looking at are two different problems. Okay. So, yes, the quality of films have been poor. That has had an overall effect on box office receipts. We see that. Okay. But the downturn for cinemas per se, I don't really believe is directly connected to that. That's more connected to technology, to your big flat screen TVs that get bigger and bigger every year. I think that's a technological change. All right. So I don't believe the two are really connected. And I think for movie theaters, you got to come up with another hook because that's how you can continue to grow, if at all, is you have to hook the people that you lost. And you have to understand why you lost them. That for them, that movie experience wasn't anything that they came to your theater for. They came solely to watch movies. One thing I remember as a kid, during the summertime, you'd have these matinees, these films that have been running and running and running, right? And you go back then, way back in the day, in the 1970s, you pay $1 during the summer in the middle of the day to go watch the matinee, right? And that'd be, you know, too hot to be outside, cool movie theater with AC. That's what we do as kids, right? And that went bye-bye. Why? Okay, you don't see that anymore because now by that point in time, they run the movies on TV eventually, or you know the onset of cable. So all of a sudden there wasn't. I really think, you know, when HBO came around and all of that, now I can watch a movie on HBO, so I don't have to go to the matinee. All right. So eventually, those went bye-bye. You don't see them anymore. Okay, there are no dollar matinees or $5 matinees really anymore. And this is where I think the movie industry is at this point. They're in a watershed moment. Okay, you are losing people left and right, and it's not because movies haven't been good. Okay, they haven't been, but that's not the cause. The cause is really because technology has changed. Your business model has to change. I don't know what that is. If you ask me, and I'm one of the people that they need to recapture, if you ask me what would make you go to a movie theater, I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it. I guess because it's really not my problem, right?
yeah.
So I don't believe that extending the time that it goes to streaming is going to change anything. Okay, because people like me, we'll watch it eventually. We're not urgently trying to watch it right away, because if we did have that need, we go to the movie theater. So what is that magic? I don't know. I believe, without being able to define it, that baseball kind of has the key to that. All right, for whatever it is, I'm not saying that they can replicate that exactly, but it's clear that they have something. Okay, the game that I went to, and I was surprised at how many people were there. It was a sellout, and the Phillies were playing the Kansas City Royals, who are bottom feeders right now in the AL Central.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, you know, if the Angels were in town and Ohtani was pitching, yeah, I could get it, right? It won't, you know, no, it's standing room only. But this game was sold out, and I'm like, dude, to watch it, they nothing good could come of it, right? We beat the Royals, we should, and we take the series, we should, or the Royals beat us, which they did in the first game of the series, and everybody's like, what? You got beat by these bottom feeders? Are you kidding me? So there was no good to come out of it, yet people showed up in droves. Why? Part of it is Phillies are having a somewhat okay season, but the experience, the ballpark, the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I love sausage and peppers. Somehow that really, really expensive $9 sausage and peppers with a bag of chips, very small bag, by the way, tastes better when I'm sitting there with a warm beer. I don't know why.
I agree.
Yeah.
GT says can't stand the movie theater. There are always people on their phone during the movie. That is not typically my experience, but I typically intentionally try to go to the theater when less people are there. When I went and saw Across the Spider-Verse and Indiana Jones, the packed theater, and I had that problem. People on their phones, like whole families on their phones, like playing audio during Spider-Verse. It was like insane. That was the worst movie theater experience I've had in years. It was absolutely terrible. But then when I saw Indiana Jones, it was more like when people get into the theater, they're like turning on their phone to like find their seats. And I'm just like, bruh, like, I don't know. If more people went to the theater, maybe they would know that's bad theater etiquette. But typically I don't have that issue because I go during the slower times. Now I saw Damien up there mentioned like he kind of started losing his desire to go to the theater when DVD came around. And now we can wait. Well, with the decline of physical media, which is a very real thing, right? In fact, I think was it Disney that announced they're no longer even manufacturing for the Australian region at all. Like they're just not going to get physical media down in Australia. That's probably one of the first steps into just a lot of companies being like, why is it worth it to produce these Blu-rays and whatnot, right? Meanwhile, you got these little boutique companies that can find a way to make money. But then these companies like Disney and stuff just have to license their movies out and let somebody else do the business. But anyway, all that aside, with the decline of physical media, more of our content absorption at home is through streaming. And as the theaters right now are hitting a boom, the prices are going up again on some of our streaming services. So I want to talk about this. Disney Plus, okay. Do you remember not too long ago doing a show about this? Oh, now I think my internet's going out.
Uh-oh.
Am I okay? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Do you remember not too long ago, we were having a conversation about Disney Plus raising their prices, right? That was like just a few months ago. Now they're raising them again. So just to let everybody know, in case you don't, in October, Disney Plus Premium, that's the no ad version, is going to go from $10.99 to $13.99, which it already had risen from $7.99 to $10.99. So now it's rising again, right? Hulu is going to go up to $17.99 a month for the ad free one. The ad supported Disney Plus is going to be $7.99 a month and $9.99 a month for Hulu. But then they got a bundle where you can get both for $19.99. And then ESPN Plus is going up, and they're raising them again. They're raising the prices again. How do you feel about that, Rex? Because you're a big time streamer. You still have Peacock.
Yeah, I know, right? But I made a commitment before the show started, right? What am I going to do tonight when I get home? I'm going to cancel Peacock. And I rethought it. There's no point in my keeping it for the next Olympics. Softball is not in the Olympics in Paris. So they're really nothing for me to watch, right? But no, so I got to tell you, I think that's the wrong move. I think Netflix, and I hate to say it, found the secret. All right. And again, you know how I feel. The streaming companies were losing money. We're losing money. We never see the hard numbers. I don't know how they're measuring this, right? It's always very vague, just we're losing money. So again, to me, it's questionable. But I think Netflix found the secret. They proved something. When they stopped allowing people to share accounts, all of a sudden, I read something like the last quarter, their subscriptions went up like 6.8 million or something like that. Or I don't know. Maybe it was even more than that. So what they did was
I think the biggest spike they've ever had, I think, in a very small window.
So
or something
maybe
like
it was 68. I don't even know. All right. So, but regardless of the fact, obviously they had a huge spike. So what they did was, I think, very smart. the people they cut off and forced them to pay were already watching Netflix. And clearly this action proved to them that these people will still continue to watch Netflix, that there's value in that. So they got the new subscribers. Now, this is, of course, a short-term solution. So I don't know what they're going to do when what you're going to use when that starts to peter out, right? But to me, a straight-up price change, raising the prices again after you just did it, is probably going to see a shrinkage of subscribers, because people are going to get pissed and say, you know what, you've raised prices on me now 3 times in a row. Okay. And
dude, this is the second one in like 8 months. That's ridiculous.
Right. And I'm just not going to watch it anymore. Okay. You're going to piss people off. Netflix, I think the reason that it worked is everybody doom and gloom, everybody on the street saying, oh, well, people are going to bounce if they have to pay for it. Didn't happen that way. And I think the reason is why? Because there was almost a Netflix didn't make, they bungled it first when they first launched it. They did in South America, whatever, and so on and so forth. And then, did it again. And it seemed to take hold. They weren't brilliant about the PR, but they were careful enough that they didn't really hurt themselves. But I think there's one thing everybody overlooked. When you're sharing an account, yeah, we're all good with if I can get a discount, awesome. Okay. But it's kind of like your Target and you pull something off a discount rack, but it wasn't really on discount, and you argue at the cash register that it was on the rack, so it should be. It's not my fault. It was on the wrong rack, kind of thing. You're getting away with something that, quite honestly, morally, your mama taught you that ain't the right way of doing it, right? So I think that what ended up happening was people had to make a choice. I love Netflix, so I want to keep watching it. Okay, then I will. Or I'm indignant that they're taking out this loophole that allowed me to watch it for free. And that's kind of a tough moral ground to stand on, isn't it? So people either just stop watching, so you didn't lose a subscriber in a sense, right? They just didn't hop on with you, so you didn't lose anything. But if they said, okay, I can't live without Netflix, they caught me, I got to do it. And you get a new subscriber. So to me, and I hate to say it, not that I'm saying that people should, they charge us so much money as it is, right? But what I'm saying, to me, it seems like Netflix's plan seems like a better one. Okay. So Disney Plus, we keep raising prices. That's not really, what's the plan? You're going to raise it so that each family is actually paying for 2 subscribers to justify them sharing? Is that how the plan's going to go?
Yeah.
Because really, it's just, to me, not a great idea.
Let me put on my tinfoil hat real quick. All right. Right before Netflix got rid of password sharing, which resulted in a huge spike in subscribers for them, they raised prices not too long before that, right?
That's true.
Remember, we were talking about that. Like, this is one of the most common questions I get when people see me, like if we do panels or something at a con, people and we do a Q&A or anything like that, people always ask, what streaming service is worth it? Why are they so expensive? Stuff like that, right? This is something that's on people's minds because it's a collected, shared experience. We all deal with this. Like me personally, I subscribe to Hulu, right? Because I like Hell's Kitchen. I like RuPaul's Drag Race. I like some of the movies that are on there, but I have a nice movie collection for myself, but I like having Hulu for certain things. I watch, some like UFO. There's this UFO series I just started watching on it. Right. So, and I get the ad free because I feel like if I'm going to pay for it, I don't want to sit through ads, man, I don't want to pay $18 so I can watch this random UFO show and Hell's Kitchen. Is it that important to me? But let me put on this tinfoil hat. Bob Iger has said they're looking into getting rid of password sharing in the future. They're raising the price now. So they have people like, oh man, whatever. They're going to drop out this and that. Then they're going to start sharing passwords like they're doing right now, right? Then they're going to get rid of password sharing. And I think, hope they're going to have the spike that Netflix has. I don't know if they will because they haven't really had anything to dominate. Now they're kind of set up right now pretty well, maybe even post Secret Invasion, which was a disappointment to most people, but they do have Loki season 2 coming out. which that was a popular show, and they've got Ahsoka coming, which I know a lot of people are wanting to get into. Then there's the idea of the fact that Disney is probably going to be buying Hulu, right? At some point, they may merge it into one thing. So if, for instance, Hulu is $17.99 and Disney is $13.99, but the two of them together is $19.99, maybe they're setting us all up for $20 a month to have the whole service combined, which I would be cool with. I think that would be a better value than having to do each of them on their own. But I have no need for Disney Plus, honestly, in my life right now. So that's why I don't have it. So, but I do Paramount Plus for Star Trek and Twin Peaks, because I've been doing a rewatch of Twin Peaks, and I don't think I watched Paramount Plus at all the last 2 months, bro. So I like that's $10 down the drain, or $20 down the drain.
Dude,
but,
I'm the worst. As I told you, I need one of those apps, that handles all your streaming that are coming out now, because I probably pay for channels I don't even remember.
There's this stuff. Dynamite's mentioning this. There's these rumors coming out right now that Disney may be selling to Apple or something like that. And I don't know. How do you think this is all tied together? What do you think there's an ultimate motive other than just let's raise the price and let's milk the people that are already there?
I got to tell you, and this is why I guess at my age, when people start talking about conspiracy theories, it's not that I don't believe that people are capable of such things. I just don't believe they're organized enough, okay, to pull things like some of these theories off. So I think that Disney has had a rough year on a lot of levels, and that's creating a need to find a way to generate more revenue. Park attendance hasn't been great. We're all coming off this pent up pandemic, whatever you want to call it, where all of a sudden, people were like the last day of school, everybody was let out and everybody just went nuts, right? Throwing books and pencils and, whatever. And now we're coming to that lull. Okay. So people have gone to Disney, have gone on vacation, have done all these things, all that pent up kind of boredom, fulfilling itself. And now we're seeing a downturn. Okay. And things like inflation haven't helped. So people are pulling back a little bit, and Disney is seeing the struggles on that, and have to figure out a way. And obviously there are other things going on with the state of Florida and the other nonsense. It didn't help that you had your period of time with Chapek, and he just, there were times when Disney could do this and the goodwill would carry them through. People would grit their teeth and just, I'm not thrilled about the ticket prices, but I'm gonna deal with it. That period with Chapek really hurt them, because he offended the Disney files, those that were so loyal that they weren't happy about the price going up, but they'll still be there. And when that happened with the way that he did it and he offended them, that's major. These are people that would. I mean, I was married to a family that I would say were Disney files. Okay. And it was amazing. You had to do certain things. We had to go to certain places for dinner. We had to, and it was just all mapped out how we're going to do things. And that was money already spent, really, more or less. So I think that didn't help them either. But ultimately, it's OUG. I understand what you're saying, but I believe that nobody will ever go back to cable. Actually, I got to be honest with you, OUG, because I spent a firm part of my childhood and adulthood with cable. Cable was a monopoly that you will watch what we tell you where you're going to watch, and you're going to like it. And I will tell you that cable wasn't so much an alternative to network TV. Really, if you think back, what cable brought to the table was a clear signal. You didn't have to have an aerial on your house or on your TV anymore. Every channel was universally more or less clear. That's what cable brought to the table. So it's a different period. You know what I'm saying? So cable, and then we just kind of fell into it. And then what are you going to do? They had us handcuffed. You can get rid of cable and put an aerial back on your TV or on your roof, and you can watch maybe half the channels clear some of the time. So we kind of put up with it.
I'm showing up the the new prices right there. So Disney Plus with ads, $7.99, no ads, $13.99. Hulu with ads, $7.99, without ads, $17.99. You can add Disney Plus with ads for $2. You can add Hulu or ESPN Plus for $10.99. The ESPN, there's that stuff. The bundles are going up as well. So you got the Disney Hulu bundle is $19.99, no ads, with ads, $9.99. The Trio bundle is going to $25 a month with no ads, and that includes ESPN Plus, which I was sorely disappointed with ESPN Plus when I was a subscriber because I didn't see any value because I couldn't watch ESPN's live stream on TV, which is nuts to me, but I don't know.
So I think what's interesting, and OUG, I may be somebody who kind of went that way, right? Not cable, but you notice how much they try to charge you for live TV. I managed to get around that whole problem because if you look at anybody, Tubi, anybody that offers live TV, it's really expensive. So I guess that's the magic of cable in a sense. So I actually have a digital antenna in my house. Luckily, there's nothing behind my house, so I get a clear signal. So I can get live TV the old-fashioned way. So that's what I think they're trying to do now. The live TV thing, get rid of cable, get live TV, and it's clear because we're streaming it. So it's still that they're still using the same hook. You can't even bundle. Yeah, that it happens. They're trying to find a way to change the revenue stream, and I understand it. Okay, I do understand what they're trying to do, and they're trying to adapt. Unfortunately, I think that some of the things that has happened, again, part of it is pandemic related. They saw their subscription rate go way up during the pandemic, obviously, because we were all trapped at home, nothing to do. And now you're seeing the fall off because, once again, people can go out and do stuff. All right. The content they've been pushing out has affected it. So there's a lot of things, but they're trying to find a new way to kind of cook that bird, slice that pie, which they need to. I don't know if I agree that this is the best way. You're going to lose people doing it this way. I think Netflix had the trick. Okay. First thing you do is end the password sharing. I mean, you can argue about it, but again, all right, I'm thinking back. What are we really arguing about? We're taking advantage of a loophole. And how do we feel about that? How can you righteously argue that? It's like going to McDonald's saying, yeah, I know you don't advertise it, but I should get a free burger.
Well, it's the same argument with like people that are involved in like piracy, whether it's like movies or TV shows or comics, right? Like that's a big thing in comics where there are these sites that just scan the comics and people can go and read them and all that stuff. And then people act like there's this, that like art should be free or something like that. Like, and like, how are the artists supposed to live then? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting. Now, the other problem is now we're in the midst of this writer's strike. We're in the midst of this actor strike. And, the other part of that is it's not really always necessarily the artists who are reaping the actual reward. You know what I'm saying? Usually it's these companies. So, they're right now as the writers are fighting for, residual rights for streaming services and stuff like that. They are raising prices. You got certain people out there. I don't remember what company it was, but one of the execs was like saying like, "Oh, we've saved like $100 million because of these strikes." I'm like, what I'm like.
So
you're missing the point.
You bring up a very good point because I think that's a very valid point. So people who try to defend the piracy, it's going to the big wigs. Here's my question: any of these piracy sites, with what you're earning, or if anything, are you giving a portion of those to, I don't know, SAG, the Writers Guild? Are you giving it to the actual artists who created it? Are you giving a portion of it? Then get off your high horse. It's more or less theft. Okay, you'd serve harder time if you went into a convenience store and took a whole bunch of chocolate bars without paying for them. Okay, theft is theft. Okay, so the password sharing, I'm not calling it theft, but you're doing something, you're getting something through a loophole, and they know you're getting it. Okay. It's like the lady at the store at the McDonald's slips me a free burger, okay, with my order because we're friends. She likes me. Okay. Then she loses her job for sneaking burgers. Am I expecting the next person to slip me that same burger? I'm owed it. No, I'm not.
I'll tell you what, though, the other day I got an extra McNugget and I didn't tell anybody. I ate it. I'm just going to say. I was like, there's 11 in here.
Maybe you counted wrong. But, you know, so in a sense, that's why I kind of see it. You know, you can, I agree, OUG, you can have an opinion about it. It can lead to other things as, you know, why are CEOs paid hundreds of millions of dollars a year? I saw one where it said Iger was making $78K a day. All right. You know, I got to ask the question, does one human being need to make $78K a day? You know, I don't know. And then you have a writer who can barely make rent or whatever, you know, making a measly $24,000 a year. You know, is that right? I don't know. You know, that's not something for me to answer, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of doing it, I think Netflix has got the right way, the right approach. I think that the first and foremost, you get rid of password sharing. That's it. Period. End story. You can only be logged on at one time in any IP. So, you know,
well, that is something that Bob Iger said that they are going to do, is get rid of password sharing on Disney Plus, you know, and everybody, you know, it pissed a lot of people off.
But I think the problem is that you should do that before you raise the price.
Well, Netflix raised the prices before they did the no password sharing, though.
Twice. No. Disney has done it twice.
Yeah, you're right. They haven't done it.
And Netflix, and here's the thing.
They didn't do it twice in 8 months. You're right. You're
right. But here's the thing, though. It was risky. Now that you see that Netflix took the step and the result, why wouldn't you do that and make it better? Right? So you've already done it in 8 months. You could have killed the password sharing, and then, you know, then see what shakes out. Why raise the price again and then talk about, you know, it's almost as if you're making sure that you piss everybody off at every stage. Okay. I feel like you could piss less people off with doing it in sequence than Netflix did. That's my opinion. But
plus, the other thing that Disney's got going against for it right now, especially with raising these prices, is that most of their content over the last few years has been waning. Like, interest in it's been waning, and the interest in the MCU, interest in Star Wars. Like, and yeah, you can have Disney Plus and go watch all the Star Wars stuff, but most hardcore people that watch Star Wars all the time, guess what they got? They got Star Wars on Blu-ray. They got Star Wars on VHS. They got Star Wars on DVD. You know what I'm saying? They got the original VHS without all the special edition edits.
Right.
I do, by the way.
So Perry Gaming, I can actually answer that question for you. No, that's not going to be a problem. So I found out how it works, right? So at my nephew's house, I was there one time. They don't have Netflix, so I logged in my Netflix account so he could watch. I forget what it was he wanted to watch. So one night I'm at home and I'm trying to watch something on Netflix, and it tells me that somebody else is using the account. So I texted his mom saying, "Hey, is he watching something on Netflix?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Don't worry about it. Just let him watch. You know, it's no big deal. I'll watch something else," because I have, as we all know, about 100 streaming channels. So what it does is it only allows you to access the account from one IP. So if you go on vacation, it won't be a problem. You just got to log into that IP and you're fine. Okay. It won't stop you. You just can't have two separate people logged in at the same time into your account. That's what they blocked. So, you know, so it kind of makes sense. Whether his mother buys Netflix or not, he's welcome to use my Netflix account whenever he wants. You know, I don't really mind. It just happened that night I wanted to watch something, and then, you know, he happened to be on at the same time. It's no big deal. But so again, I think that's okay. All right. You know, it's their business. It's a product. Okay. You know, you don't get to, I guess it's like a loaf of bread. Okay. I don't get an extra loaf of bread for free, but me and somebody else can share that loaf of bread. Right. You get less bread, but we both get to eat. I guess I look at it kind of as that theory. GT Key Comic, he can make $78K a day because he can. It's absolutely right. Okay. Yeah. But I question the logic of it. Okay. You know, I do. I do. Does any CEO? I'm not pointing out Iger. I mean, it's a standard for what they make. So I'm not, pointing him out specifically. I'm talking about any CEO. All right. I remember reading back in the 70s, like a CEO's salary was something like 30 or 40 times the lowest paid employee. Now it's like 100, 500 times. There comes a point where it becomes obscene, that you look around the world and there are children starving, children dying, people don't have potable water. Okay. When one human being can make more than most people make in a year, in a day, you got to ask yourself, is there some moral implication with that? I don't know. That's for every person to decide for themselves. But I do think it's obscene. Yeah. I think that every CEO of every studio, back off. Just let this thing, you have a union that represents you as a studio. Stop making public comments because you are not helping yourself. Okay. You are not like when what was it? Warner had their a shareholder meeting. Oh, we're saving this much millions of dollars, with the strike.
Oh yeah, it was Warner. That's right.
You can bury that in your 10Q somewhere. You'll need to make an announcement at shareholder meeting. No matter how you slice that pie, you are not going to come out looking good. You're going to look like some guy who's so out of touch with reality and your core audience, man. Okay? When you say stuff like that, nobody's feeling bad for you, bro. Okay? As you take home your bonus check and everything else. All right?
Nobody's I agree with Perry. When I hear that Bob Iger makes $78K a day, I ask myself, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Yeah, right? Hey, you know what? Listen, I've met a whole lot of people that I think, man, they've affected people's lives. They've done all that good stuff, done the right things. And I would say easily, yeah, you're worth $78K a day. Do they get paid that? No, they don't.
I think really what it's about? I think the biggest lesson out of today's show, Rex, is that when you get home, you got to stop your Peacock subscription because you have not been using it since the Olympics.
I do. That's an extra dinner out. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
That's an extra dinner out. All right. One quick thing. GTK, not deciding how people should live their life or whether success is obscene or not. I'm not deciding that. But I will tell you, and it's not a form of communism. Okay, this is every major religion in the world preaches the same thing: help others. Okay, one of my personal heroes is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Okay, to take that fortune and commit that I'm going to donate it to charity through my lifetime, I think is a laudable thing. Okay, whether or not you feel like she earned it or she didn't earn it is irrelevant. The money dropped in her lap and she decided I'm going to give most of it away. Okay. All right. So that to me is there's always a moral component, but to each his own. All right. But not being kind to your fellow human beings doesn't make communism or socialism on any level. I think that's something that's happened in current day that's kind of separated the human people.
And I don't think Rex is calling Bob Iger out as a terrible person
not at all.
Who doesn't donate to charity, I'm sure.
So. I think Bob Iger coming back was the best thing Disney could have ever done. And I don't single him out as CEO because there are tons of CEOs. Okay, that make that kind of salary. Okay, Bob Iger. Okay, because under Chapek, I will bash Chapek. Unfortunately, I think he made every wrong move that he could have made.
But in particular, with the writer strike and the actor strike and stuff, that's like looking at the pie of an industry and how that pie is divided up amongst that industry is in particular, I think, what we're talking about. So then there's grander things as well that we could talk about on another time and another show. So thank you so much, Rex, for being here. Thank you out there for watching. Rex, what's coming up for you guys over at the EX?
All right. So Nick has his original art show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on the EXP. And I got to tell you, this is going to be, you're going to see the cheapest art you've ever seen. It's absolutely, the prices he told me was ridiculous. I think we had a couple on Bueller last night, and it was just ridiculously cheap. So there's going to be, if you already are an art collector, there's going to be some high-end pieces as well. But if you are an original art collector or you're thinking about getting into it, I will tell you, he will probably have original art that sells less than some of the cover sketches we have. Okay. So you definitely want to tune in. If you want to get started, this is a great kind of dip your toe in the pool. This is a great way to get it done. There will be pieces that are ridiculously cheap. All right. So I think Nick's goal is to try to get everybody into original art. And it's really cool. Even if you're not a collector, it's a great show to watch. You know why? You're going to be able to see Nick always has a story behind a lot of the original art. A lot of stuff comes from his personal collection, which is huge. So it's fun to kind of see how it all originates, I guess. And as I said, Nick, a lot of times I find it funny. He's personally attached to a lot of pieces. So, you know, he's got a story about every piece that he's bought. I remember buying this when, you know, I bought this at a con and somebody told me to, you know, get out of town or something. There's always an interesting story. And it's great to see the art, guys.
Absolutely. And then we'll be on Monday, right?
Yes, Monday. Robbie will be with me and John on our regular 2-hour Comic Collectables show. I think Screech, or Ugly Amy, as we call him, will have DC books. Real Amy will be back, thank God. And then we'll have John here as well, I'm sure, if he returns from the beach. You never know with John.
Yeah, it's always a great time there. I will be doing Rockin Robbie Live Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Hadn't done one in a couple of weeks. We are not doing PCP Movie Night for the next 2 Monday nights because we're gearing up for Horror Fest. But Horror Fest never ends over at Dylan's Horror Show. So check them out tomorrow night on Dylan's Horror Show as they return to the swamp and they talk about Victor Crowley, the 4th film in the Hatchet franchise and the conclusion to their Hatchet Fest. And then they're going to be going on a week-long break because we got Horror Fest coming up. 31 shows. Talking about over 50 movies across 3 channels. And it all kicks off on Dylan's Horror Show, August 26th with Maniac. And then PCP Movie Night returns on August 28th with the entire Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. All 9 Texas Chainsaw films reviewed here on the channel to kick off Horror Fest. It's going to be a great grand old time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining Rex. We're dipping out.